Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the greatest week on earth. Welcome back to the Enjoy the Walk podcast. It is Masters Week, ladies and gentlemen. We are psyched to get into it. All kinds of talk about the big man, the big cat, Tiger Woods, wearing different shoes, making appearances on the course, and still no table of if he will play or not. Dante and I have quite the hunch as to where that needle might fall. But we've got awesome stuff to talk about as well from over the weekend from the drive, chip, and putt. Shout out Glenn Riddle representing. We've got talks about the Chevron Championship, the last one to be ever held at Mission Hills. We've also got the AWNA to talk about and a 16-year-old taking home the championship. We give a little nod to that in our shop this week with our bucket hat special. But Dante, it's Masters Week, man. It feels good. I'm wearing last year's Masters merch from us. I'm drinking from a Masters cup for those of you watching us on YouTube.
Yes.
It's just, we've got that to talk about too. I mean, what a week, man. This truly is, as a golf fan, Christmas Day for a week straight.
Yeah. I mean, well, one, the Masters Cup. Oh, look at that. Is that tea?
It's a little half and half with a little
No.
extra behind it.
Ooh, little spike action.
Little spike.
Oh man, those cups are just, I don't know, there's something about them. They're just fantastic. They're just plastic cups.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we have like the same model in our single strap society, but there's just something, like, you take the logos off of it. There's just something about that cup where, now I don't know, it just fits perfectly.
You can't, if this cup doesn't say MASTERS on it, it's just another cup. But something about it does a little something special to all of us. I know it does.
I'm a little bummed this year that, obviously we didn't get we didn't win the lottery to get our Masters tickets, and I was hoping to possibly do the, Taste of the Masters, but I didn't see that anywhere. So yeah. I was a little bummed to get the 2022 stamped plastic cups.
A little bummed of no Taste of the Masters. A little bummed for the folks that are going to the Masters and are going to have no peach ice cream sandwiches. Those are just, great on the tongue on a hot summer or spring Georgia day. So we're not going to have those. But I mean, dude, speaking of the Masters week this week, I know so much hype has been around Tiger and coming back, and if he comes back and if he plays or whatnot. But Tiger Woods aside, we're leading into a Masters where Hideki just won last year and represented Japan in a special way. We've got so many young guns coming up the ranks this year and winning often. Scotty Scheffler overtaking the world number one. We've got a brand new world number one coming into this year's Masters. We've got storylines galore of who might contend and who might take home a Masters. You throw Tiger Woods in the mix with that, this will be, mark my words, the most watched Masters in world history.
I guess he's coming on a press conference tomorrow or Tuesday, 11 a.m. I think he's pretty much announcing to the press whether he's playing or not. And which, again, I think we can agree here, he's more than likely. It seems like after all the headlines and this source says that, and I saw him do this and all that, he's more than likely going to play. It's going to be, I think your viewership has already increased before Thursday even starts.
I can tell you this. I mean, the second that private plane landed in Augusta last week, the buzz was just top notch. And then as other guys, I think the funniest thing to come out of all of that hype, right, was kind of the lesser known guys saying, well, where's my tracker as my plane leaves for Augusta? And I forget which pro, so I'm sorry to whoever it was. You must be outside the top 50 in the world. But he said, headed to Augusta, who's tracking my Jeep Grand Cherokee?
I saw that. I saw that. Or someone said they were flying in as well, and but it was a day too late. I wanted to respond. I said, "Can I get your flight details?"
Yeah. It's so funny that the pros can joke about it like that. They know the needle that Tiger Woods moves, and it's just going to be so fun to watch. I think everyone else interact with Tiger as he's back on the grounds and just be appreciative of who Tiger is as a human, whether he plays or not, what he's done for the game. Bubba Watson posted today, fist bumping Tiger Woods and basically saying, always great to chuck it up with a best friend. It's cool to see guys like that interacting and just being like, God, he's back. Like, thank you for being back, because they understand what he does for the game.
And it's weird because it's when springtime comes around and it's just that everybody just kind of, the weather's turning. Like we talk about this all the time. The Masters here, it's just this, complete 180 where we go from this rough 3 months of majority of, the United States of just gloom and winter weather. And next thing you know, Master rolls around, Tiger's playing, everybody's just smiling, everybody's faces are just lighting up, everybody's just pumped and excited. It's just finally, let's get the season rolling. Let's go, even though it's already started. It's just a fresh of breath air, in my opinion, when it comes to this week, and especially with Tiger playing. It's Masters week, and everything that kind of just is leading up to it over this past weekend is just insane.
Well, I know too, just from a viewership standpoint, we've talked about this in years past. The Masters website does viewership unlike any other. I am just stoked for the par 3 contest to get rolling, and for us to just have what it feels like from at home, inside the ropes access to watching this golf tournament kind of unfold.
Yeah. The streaming, is insane. And yeah, it's been how many years too since the par 3 contest.
It's been those weird times where it's just like, this year we can't have it. And this year, I think a year before it was because of weather or something, they couldn't have it. So we've gone a few years without it. And I think the last one that was truly memorable was when Jack Nicklaus's grandson dunked it on the last hole. What a kind of like last memory of a par 3 contest to look back on and say, man, I can't wait for this year's.
And I'm pretty sure that was 2019, right?
Yes, sir.
That was the year Tiger, the ultimate comeback.
If you want to start, and it's funny, we talked about this before we hopped on the show, talking about life being a simulation. You look at the prep Tiger Woods did yesterday. We're recording this on the 4th, a Monday evening. We've got to see a day unfold of practice from Tiger Woods, where he practiced again today with Freddie Couples and Justin Thomas. On Sunday, Tiger came out, did a short game session, and called it a day. And Dante, I said to you, boy, does this just look carbon copy of the practice regimen that he put himself through in 2019. He was coming fresh off the back injury. It was a conversation very reminiscent to what we're having now with the car accident. Will he play again? Will he come back to form? Can he, even if he comes back, hit it as well as he used to, right? He's got to redo his swing because he had the back injury and nothing's the same there. Well, now he's got to quote unquote kind of swing different because the leg isn't there. And we're seeing the same regiment from him in the days leading up to Augusta. Now, granted, in 2019, he said, I'm playing. So this year's a little different. It's not definite yet. I'm almost betting that as this podcast comes out on Tuesday, that he'll say he's playing come that press conference come Tuesday.
Yeah, with all this cat and mouse with the media and, all the photos and all the footage and content people are getting of him actually on the premises. For him to just come out the next day and say, yeah, I'm not feeling it, especially because you're saying, he's got this regimented and we got the simulation prep that he's doing from injuries, right? But when you have sources say that you're seeing his ball speeds in the mid 170s and he's cutting chips and drawing chips, all his pitch shots and all that, and they're saying he's, pure in everything. We've heard this before. Well,
not only are we hearing it from the media and quote unquote sources, I want to talk about what he did just today, Monday. He texted Freddie Couples late. I'm reading this verbatim from what Freddie Couples said. Late Sunday night, said, dude, we're playing tomorrow at 3:00. See you on the tee. You can't tell me that a Tiger Woods that's texting Freddie Couples late Sunday night to go get a practice round in Monday afternoon ain't fucking playing come Thursday morning. There ain't no way. No way. That fire's there. Tiger knows what he's going for. Tiger Woods playing. I don't care what anybody else says. Tiger Woods is playing.
He's ready. I mean, granted, and it's not like the back situation. I mean, you know, you're coming off of, like you said, a reconstructed leg. It's more of how much stress can the leg handle from walking up and down that property for 72 holes. Mm-hmm. It kind of seems like everything's there, and he played in, the PNC and, rode a cart, but it seems like he did all right. He managed. He was just probably a little, I want to say out of shape, but out of shape to an extent when it comes to, constantly just playing a round of golf in tournament, settings. And it's just, I think he's playing cat and mouse. Like, again, he's doing the whole Eminem thing a little bit, Slim Shady dropping like albums that no one even knew was planning to coming out, but he's a little bit, I don't know, man. Like you said, there's no way he's just gonna say, I'm not playing. I'm not feeling it.
Well, and here's what blows me away, right? He could have played with anybody. He's always had a good relationship with Justin Thomas. He's always had a good relationship with Freddie Couples, but Freddie Couples was quoted in saying he didn't just look good, he looked phenomenal. If you want to talk golf, he was bombing it. He said, I know JT can get it out there, but he was with him all day long, flushing it. He said, I know it's Monday, but he didn't miss any shots. So that to me seems okay. The conversation of he's just playing is over and done with. Mark it right here. Forget about it. He's contending. Tiger Woods didn't come to the Masters and play without knowing that he could get it together for 4 straight days and go win another green jacket. He's quoted in saying that years past, I won't play if I know I can't win. And the fact that he's been there Sunday and now Monday again, and I guarantee you when this podcast comes out on Tuesday, he'll go to the media at 11 o'clock. I think he's planned for, and then he'll go get another 9 holes in after that.
Definitely. And I think he got up there even earlier too, because he's going to practice. He practiced yesterday, right? Sunday, and today, Monday. But there's bad weather coming in too right before the tournament.
Yep. So my dad made a good point, and here's where I think maybe the only spin zone of Tiger not being able to play, or maybe even having something freakish happen and withdrawing because of bad weather, right? That right leg isn't 100%, might not ever be 100% in his lifetime ever again, being all the surgeries he's had for it. But say he goes out and weather's not the greatest, almost maybe horrible Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday. It looks like it might clear up come Saturday, but definitely rain coming Thursday, Friday. What's to say he doesn't slip, right? The bad weather they had the year before, hell, a security guard was trying to run to catch the fans and slipped into him and almost bummed up his ankle. So anything freakish like that, right, can happen. And I know we don't play basketball or football where there's constantly hitting and jarring of ligaments, but Augusta National is a crazy hilly course. There's weird lies, there's weird angles, and who knows what can happen. That to me, and my dad put this in my head, but thank God, shout out to Marlon Deerdorf. He put this in my head and it makes sense. That to me is the only reason Tiger Woods might not be able to compete all 4 days, is something happening because of bad weather where he slips or a footing isn't right on a shot, that he's got to pull something out of his hat and it doesn't go his way and something happens. That's the only way he's not playing 4 days.
Yeah, I completely agree, because, I mean, you and I have both played on days where it's, not fair, perfect weather, and, you can feel it in your bones. And, even if it's a little slippery, like you said, we don't wear, we're not wearing like 1/2-inch cleat spikes in our shoes and, getting all the traction we can. I mean, it's a little couple like rubber bumps at the bottom of our soles that can get a little bit of traction. Yeah, we put some ground force, we have that, but like you said, I've slipped many of times.
Well, and here's the funny thing, right? So you've slipped many times. We're talking about ground force and all this. And I think, obviously, I know Tiger's thought about this already. Look at the footwear change. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at the change from Nike shoes to Footjoy Premiers. Black yesterday on Sunday, white Premiers today on his 9 holes with Couples and JT. I think I know there's so much planning from Tiger Woods. Tiger doesn't show up at Augusta without a day by day, an hour by hour, probably a minute by minute plan. Here's what we're doing. Joey, be here this time, that time. Here's what we are doing to go win another green jacket. And the Footjoys are just another part of that plan. And it's funny because you've owned a pair of these well before they became the Tiger Blacks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what, dude, the golf world, golf social media went nuts as soon as someone zoomed in on. I even sent you just a text message and I said, dude, those are Footjoys. Those aren't Nikes.
You sent me it before Twitter went wild.
Yeah. I was like, wait a second. So that's something new, which honestly, I can see why he's doing it because I've had a pair and they're a heavier shoe. They're like the base is completely stable. I know there was a release with Nike today. They basically said like they're working with Tiger, but there's no issue. But at the end of the day, like you said, Tiger's out there heading to the Masters, training and prepping to win.
Yep.
And his leg isn't as stable or as strong as it used to be. So, I mean, you've worn a pair of Nikes. They're tennis shoes, man. They're tennis shoes with some golf bumps on the bottom with some golf spikes. They're not the most stable shoes out there. And like you said, we're not playing basketball. We're not playing tennis. We're not playing sports where we're constantly we need a very light, tight shoe so we can shift around where we're not technically on our feet trying to stabilize our bodies to the ground. And I can tell you what, the Footjoy Premiers, that base is a pretty stable shoe. And it's a very classy shoe. And honestly, I think Tiger just rocks that. He just rocks that classy steez.
I'm telling you what, that class on Tiger Woods brought back some like late 90s feel to me and the look of Tiger. And I'm like, boy, it's so refreshing to not see him in a sneaker again because he's been in that TW style shoe from Nike for the longest, probably maybe a better decade and a half, right? Like I think when I was in high school, they came out with the original Tiger Woods shoes that were more of a sneaker look, and they've rocked that, 2012 on. So it probably is better half of a decade, if not more. And to see him back in like that just classic black on black Nike or Footjoy Premier, it's a good look for Tiger, man. I'm excited. I hope he plays all 4 days with him. I think he will.
I think he will. And I mean, and like you were saying, like they're a heavier shoe, and you've had previous models before they became the Premiers. You had the Footjoy Dry Joys, and you can attest to this, that you said even though they were heavy, they were a very solid golf shoe to wear. And I think sometimes golf kind of stepped away from that in regards, because everybody's like, all right, well, if you're playing, you're in a shoe for 4 to 5 hours a day, and if you're playing tournament and you're in walking events, you're going to want a sneaker based shoe, not necessarily more of a dress shoe. So but they're making these golf dress shoes a lot more comfortable, and they can break in a lot easier rather than you're not putting on a stiff dress shoe that you're only going to wear for a couple hours.
Yep.
And
shout out to our guy, T Feltz Golf. He is the Footjoy connoisseur when it comes to the connections we have, right? And he constantly is testing the new Footjoy golf wear week in and week out, year in and year out. And he continually tells us of the upgrades Footjoy is making to not just the look of the shoe, but the overall comfort and just like durability of the sole and how they feel. Because let's be honest, when you and I were in high school, if you would wear them 18 holes over 4 days, they weren't the most comfortable shoe in the world. Now they're almost getting to the point where the base on these shoes are like those of a Nike sneaker, like the sole, the how it ties into your foot, but they still give you the class of a Footjoy shoe. And I think that's the coolest thing about their kind of evolution over the years.
Well, that too, and like you said, back in high school, I remember having, playing here and there, and you're 6 holes in and your feet are killing you. They're just beat up. But now, I mean, you can easily walk 18 holes, no problem. Granted, your foot's going to be tired a little bit and hurt a little bit. I mean, you were just on your feet for 4 to 5, maybe upwards to 6 hours. That happens. I mean, there's no way from getting away from that. But again, I mean, just look at like the sole aspect right there around his heel, right? And another thing too, I've had them. The Footjoy Premiers, you kind of sit more on the video. You're kind of the heels up a little bit, so your posture's a lot better. You're kind of standing up taller. It's not where your heels are diving into the ground and you're losing your posture. And I feel like that's another thing is Tiger Woods just needs to keep his posture all day, so he's just up and just kind of light on his feet as well.
Well, and I'll tell you this too. I think maybe the sneaker-based shoes have a little bit thinner of a base. I think, when you look at Footjoy Premiers, they have a little wider of a base. I correlate it directly to when I broke my ankle October of last year. I broke my ankle, tore some ligaments. Like I jacked it up to no end. And that was just about the point we were really starting to get a good relationship with Squares. So I had a good pair or two of Squares golf shoes, and I correlated to the same exact thing. No offense to Footjoy here and what I'm saying, but they're Footjoy flex shoes, right? Like they're very sneakery shoes, kind of mesh top. I would have so much pain in those trying to go make a golf swing when I was in recovery, and B, just walking 18 holes. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it in those shoes. It was just not capable of me to do that at that time. But then just change the footwear that I'm wearing, put on a set of Squares that have a little bit wider base, a lot thicker of a sole than the Footjoy Flex. And all of a sudden, I was almost pain-free. And I think that correlation to me in my mind is exactly what Tiger Woods was looking for. I bet you he tried on hundreds of pairs of shoes before he made the trip to Augusta and said, what are the exact pairs of shoes that are going to make me competitive, and not only competitive, but pain-free, or at least closest to it over a 72-hole stretch, because that's the pair of shoes I need to wear all week long.
Yeah. It's amazing how we're sitting here talking about, shoes. And we've had Squares on, and we've had them as well kind of talk about there's a lot more data and science that goes into understanding the quality and the make of shoes when you're out using them for a round of golf, and you don't really realize. You're like, oh, it's just a pair of shoes that have some spikes at the bottom. All right, I'll manage.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously the media is blowing up because it's not Nike shoes, and they're all wondering kind of why. But then we're having this conversation, and we've had conversations before and had the understanding as why. But it kind of goes to show that is a very important part, because you don't want to be wearing just like these stiff boards out there where your feet are hurting all day, because that's going to lose your concentration just like right there if you keep it simple. So
well, and guys, if you want to, we had a whole podcast on this back in season 3, episode 14 with Terry Hashimoto, founder of Body Track, and Rob Winkskovitz, founder of Squares Golf Shoes. We talked all about this and why footwear does matter so much. And I think, it's a crazy cool conversation of like, why does footwear matter, and B, what matters in footwear, right? Like where does the design actually give you advantages over maybe some lesser design shoes? So it's just crazy that, in this Tiger comeback, all of a sudden we're talking about footwear because his, first day on premises just went absolutely viral.
We'll find out 11 a.m. the following day.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, guys, speaking of things that hopefully go absolutely viral, we've got new merchandise in the shop just this week. Masters merch specific for you guys, the patrons, the fans. We've got the OG Jack Nicklaus shirt on the website as well with updated logos. So I'm wearing the old logo here. We've got everything new logos on the website. We've got a nod to the AWNA bucket hat family. Shout out to that family. We've got a bucket hat options on the website as well. We've got floral sweatshirts with our embroidered logo on. We've got golf towels. We've got t-shirts and hats and even women's yoga pants. So guys and gals, go check it out. www.enjoythewalkpod.com/shop. We will be adding new merchandise options throughout the week, so stay tuned. And then on the weekend, we will have a very, very special merchandise options for you guys come the weekend. So stay tuned, go check it out. And I hope you guys enjoy the new merchandise we're bringing to you. So Dante, speaking of AWNA, exciting tournament this past weekend. Just so cool. Again, we talked about it in yesterday's podcast that we released, just saying about how cool it is to see the women out there on the course and really just see the talent that exists. I mean, a 16-year-old won. The talent level and the age level of this tournament is just increasingly incredible each and every year.
It really is. And kind of from the start, from like 2019 when we watched it, it seemed the headlines were a majority of collegiate golfers. And now you're sitting here and it's they probably take up a good portion of the field, but each year it seems as if that's not the case. It's just you're getting any amateur out there that's getting the invitation to play, and it's just that's unbelievable. And it's crazy too because I didn't catch a lot of it, because it was only on Saturday for Augusta itself. And it came on, I think, on just weird hours. It's the only gripe I had with it, but from where it's just the coverage. It just seems they I don't know. Do they not want to show Augusta two weeks in a row, or is it just typical golf coverage? Beating a dead horse, that the conversation that we always have, but kind of more on the positive side of things. I've watched. I tried to see if I can find some highlight reels of the winner, but it was more of the interviews of her afterwards, and I think she was just so starstruck that she hasn't realized what happened yet.
Well, I'll give you some context of how starstruck she was, right? Again, 16-year-old high school sophomore beat a plethora of highly ranked collegiate golfers. I mean, just absolutely stunning win. She goes, I never really watched the Masters on TV. I really only learned of the Augusta National Women's Am last year because a friend of mine was competing. She said, I definitely don't think I've processed it yet. She ended up shooting 3 under par, 69 at Augusta, was the lone player, single woman under par on the last day at Augusta National. I mean, as a high school sophomore, are you kidding me? In the event's very short 3-year history, she is by far the youngest player to win. Dude, this is what it's all about, man. This is why this tournament was created. It's just like shivers down your spine of how cool this is for this girl.
Like I can't even put in the words myself of how insane and how much of a remarkable feat that is for her to be able to win the Augusta National Women's Amateur at Augusta, being only 16 years old. I mean, there's so many more. I mean, her future in golf is, as long as she decides to keep going. I mean, she's the third one of it. Three of, you know what I mean? She's
one of 3.
Third, one of 3
in history forever.
In history forever. 16 years old. What were you doing at 16?
Probably trying to make my varsity team in high school at the time, struggling.
Yeah.
Nah, it's really cool, man. It's something that, now all of a sudden she goes from, I don't know what she did before this because I don't think anyone knows what she did before this. She all of a sudden is probably the college prospect to be looked after as far as, recruiting goes. She has put herself on the map to just absolutely. It's a life-changing win because even at 16 years old, you win an Augusta National Women's Am. You have invites to places, you have, notoriety, you've got, your just name is all of a sudden the name of women's amateur golf. So excited to follow her journey over the next couple months and years ahead, because this is just the beginning of, I think, the stardom in which this young woman can reach.
Yeah, it's going to be remarkable to see her play throughout the years and having her name on that trophy board forever. And what's great about it is it's a great weekend for this, because it's almost Augusta National and Masters week has kind of combined into 2 weekends now, because it kind of starts on that Saturday at the the championship for the women's AM, and then it leads into the drive, chip, and putt, and then it's Masters week. So Master week starts the previous Saturday for now on.
I 100% agree. And I think how fitting, right? Jennifer Cupchow, a 2019 winner of the AWNA, getting her first LPGA win the same weekend as the AWNA. I mean, just how cool is the storyline, a movie script of a life that Jennifer Cupchow is living right now, getting the final jump in Poppy's Pond.
Final jump in Poppy's Pond. You also have, the ANWA championship, which she won 3 years ago, and also getting her first LPGA win, which indeed was a major, all in the same weekend.
I mean, you can't write it any better. You really can't. It's just absolutely nuts that you get at one end of the spectrum the youngest winner in Augusta National Women's Amateur history. On the other end, you get the first winner of Augusta National Women's Amateur history, winning on the LPGA Tour, not just winning, but winning a major. I mean, it's so kind of full circle that this is the opportunity that winners like Davis have, like Jennifer Cupchow has. Now that you set yourself on this kind of trajectory of you can be a major winner because you've won this tournament. That's the expectation of winners who win this tournament.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, you want to follow kind of your role model's footsteps. And if you're like, all right, if I can do this at 16 years old, what can I do at 24 years old?
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think, again, shout out and all props to Jennifer Cupchow for getting the job done in her major championship win, because now if it goes full circle, you look at, any winner from the Augusta National Women's Am and you say, that's my potential, right? You look at a 16-year-old who maybe wasn't a wholeheartedly into golf, but said, you know what, I'm damn good at it. But at 16, sometimes you just don't know, right? Maybe she's got other options or whatever. Even as an 18-year-old, you've got all of college to figure out yet. But man, you win the Augusta National Women's Am, and now you're saying, I could be a major champion. That's career defining, and that's life changing.
It really is. And it's like you said, I think that's probably one of the craziest things is, in between 16 and 18 years old, and you're just out there still being a kid trying to figure out high school, let alone go out and win one of the most prestigious amateur events in the world.
It's crazy cool, man. It's crazy cool. Speaking of Cupchow's last win, it was the last tournament to be held at Poppy's Pond at Mission Hills. Like we said, the tournament moving out to the Texas area last year. A little bittersweet, I would say. I think the jump into Poppy's Pond for me is maybe top 5 of recollections I have of women's golf every year. Like, I look for that moment, right? Like in the news, I look for that picture of the caddy and maybe a significant other jumping in to the pond together. And I think that moment, that kind of picture in time is a bummer to be lost for the LPGA. It seems like, they've had plenty of years there over a couple decades. They've had some star power in the host there for plenty of years, but it is a little bit of a tear shed moment to see that event moving on from Mission Hills.
Yeah, it really is, especially for how long that that major's been there and that tradition has, surfaced. It's just wondering, are they going to take that somewhere else, or are we going to start a new tradition? So you just gotta kind of wonder. But I mean, what a perfect way to end it. Kind of to close that chapter and see what happens when they open up the new one.
Yeah, there's things like this where, to this point, I feel like Mission Hills was the Augusta of the LPGA. It was their Masters. It was their beginning to the season. It had been held there for ages upon ages. So it's not like it was at a new venue like the US Open, like the PGA, like the British. So weird to see where it goes from here. Hopefully, you wish all the success to a venue changing places, but will be strange, I'm sure, for the players, the participants, the sponsors. Even it'll just be a weird feel next year, and hopefully they can create another long lasting legacy where they go in the future.
Yeah, weird feel at first, but like you said, they'll find something else new, new tradition to surface.
For sure. Well, speaking of traditions, we've got to talk about the drive, chip, and putt as well. On the Sunday before the Masters week gets going, seeing past champions there like Bubba Watson, like Dustin Johnson.
Oh, he loves that.
Bubba Watson might
loves
forever.
That tournament.
He might be forever the best advocate of the drive, chip, and putt for eternity. I mean, his legacy might call it the Bubba chip and putt from now on.
I can see it happening. Bubba Watson's drive, chip, and putt.
Yeah. Like Bob Hope's classic. It's going to be Bubba
Watson's
drive,
Bubba Watson's drive, chip, and putt. He loves it. And you know what? It's great because that's, you want to get, these pros faces because eventually that's the future of golf, right? Like, and he's such a huge advocate for that. He loves it. And I feel like he goes there. I think he's in Augusta for about a month leading up to the Masters, just prepping himself and doing all he can. But as soon as that that weekend comes and that Sunday comes, man, he is just ecstatic, and you can see it every time they turn the camera on him. He's just light up with joy watching these kids and their parents, on Augusta on the 18th green, doing whatever they can to just.
You want to know why?
Cherish that moment.
You want to know why? Because of the moment Bubba Watson got on camera after his first win and said in a choked up crying voice, just a kid from Baghdad, Florida. Like, he understands growing up from nothing. And he understands the opportunity that these kids are being given because of the drive, chip, and putt. I mean, you look at this young girl, 7 to 9 girls division drive, chip, and putt champion, Autumn Solisby. Shout out to you, Autumn, for winning. Kudos to you. But she was asked who her favorite golfer was before she even got to Augusta. She said Bubba Watson. You want to know why she said Bubba Watson? She said Bubba Watson because he adopts his kids, and I'm adopted. And you know what Bubba Watson did when she won? He spent 3 hours with Autumn, hanging out, chopping it up on the back patio of Augusta National. That's who Bubba Watson is. And if you don't like him as a person, just being one with like every participant in the drive, chip, and putt, I mean, how can you not like him?
Yeah, I mean that's a story unlike any other, man. And that's like when you see that, it's like wow. I met Bubba Watson, and he took the time out of his day to congratulate me and hang out with me for 3 hours. That's gonna stick with them forever.
Yeah. Well, and Bubba made exact like that statement right there. He made that exact statement. He said, the first thing she says to me when I met her this morning was, I'm adopted and I love you because you adopt your kids. He said, Watson said, sniffed and held back tears, recalling that'll stick with me forever. So not only is that moment going to stick in that little girl's heart forever,
I said it's sticking
Bubba's heart's going to remember that for a long time too.
Man,
but it's just cool seeing the pros, the past champions, even not just pros, but past champions Getting involved in this event, I think, is just the coolest thing. Bubba Watson being there, Dustin Johnson being there, other pros along the line just chipping in and being a part of it. Gary Player showing up again, Jack Nicklaus being there. I mean, mark my words, 20 years from now, Tiger Woods will be a part of that event. He's not quite there yet because he's still chasing after majors, but once his time is over, we've already seen the softening of Tiger Woods up a little bit in just the past 5 years. Give him another 10 years, and I guarantee you Tiger Woods is part of that event as well.
Oh, him and Bubba, man, they'll just be hanging out there for about 2 months at Augusta, just getting everything.
Hanging out there, fist bumping each other, just enjoying each other's company.
True. I mean, what more can you ask? And I feel like they've come to realize, like Tiger is like, this like Mr. Miyagi, like this wise man, right? From Karate Kid, right? So it's, that's, he realizes that. And I think he sees that too, also in his own son and Charlie playing and all that. It's like, wow, like this is the future of golf. And if I can do my part, another thing too is like these kids, they look up, right? Everybody knows Tiger Woods, but at the same time, the kids are looking up to the Justin Thomases and the Ricky Fowlers and the Rory McIlroys. So like, I mean, I know Tiger's the needle, but he's like the greats, I guess you can say these kids are looking up to are the kids, the guys in their like early 30s now, right? So they're like, well, I want to be an advocate for this because this is the future of golf and this is what they can and probably are willing to do.
No, I think you're spot on. And it's just, again, it's so cool to see the professional atmosphere and presence at the drive, chip, and putt because, like we talked about when the podcast started, it is Masters week. Yes, it started Monday. The Masters is this week. But you get the AWNA or ANWA on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you get the drive, chip, and putt on Sunday. Augusta has cleverly, if not magically, made a full extra 4 days out of the Masters. And I think over time, they're going to make maybe 2 weeks out of it. They're going to find a way to master 2 weeks out of the Masters. And I think it's genius. But not only is it genius in their part, it's great for the overall game. It's great for our viewership. They get to embody the women's game. They get to embody the junior game, and they get to embody obviously the men's game as well. And I think if you look at the Open, if you look at the US Open, if you look at the PGA, no one else is doing that. We're not getting a full week and a half of the entirety of the game. Right? Like the only thing the Augusta National can do at this point is have a senior open.
Oh my gosh.
When Tiger's 45 or 55 or 60, you just wait. They'll bring it around.
That would be awesome. You should have a month of Augusta. Month at the Masters.
I don't hate the entire month of April just being Augusta month. I don't hate it one bit.
That would be insane.
Bring a college invitational. Bring a college invitational there in the spring too. Top 20 teams in the country get to go play. I mean,
I see you there. I see it, but now that I'm thinking kind of on it'd be a logistical nightmare for the supers.
Well, a logistical nightmare for the supers, and members would probably hate the world for a month because they lose the course for a month instead of 2 weeks. But other than that, sounds magical.
Speaking of members, you were telling me a little tidbit of, members getting to play during the Masters.
So let me roll back the tape on the conversation I had with my father this morning. We were talking about Tiger playing or not playing, and my dad being a skeptic is like, well, he just had this surgery and this accident. There's no way he can play. Well, who's not getting in if Tiger plays, and who's he holding out on, right? Like, who's the odd man out, and who doesn't get to play if Tiger plays? Nobody. That's the answer. Nobody doesn't get to play professional wise because it's an invite only tournament, and if Tiger doesn't play, it just creates odd numbers. But this little man in the corner who's played in quite a few Masters, not a professional, but a member at Augusta National, Jeff Knox, has played quite a few Masters, and if Tiger decides not to play, will most likely get the nod to go play to even up the groupings come Thursday and Friday. And then if the cut's uneven, he might even get to play a Saturday and Sunday as well. So little known fact, and I think it gets brought up every couple years when he does get to play. But Jeff Knox has been a member at Augusta for quite some time and has actually beat the likes of Rory McIlroy. I think he's even beat the likes of Sergio Garcia, Russell Knox. The man can play. And like I said, if there's an odd number going into Thursday and Friday, he'll play. And then if there's an odd number come the weekend, he gets to play as well, basically as a marker. Because I think on the weekends, they used to only go out as twos. Maybe they go out as threes now. But either way, there needs to be a third marker in that group of three to keep a score. So that's how they do it. Jeff Knox, man, living the dream we all wish we could play.
I mean, and he legit, it's not like he's just going out there to just slap it around. Like the guy's actually, even though his score don't count, he's out there grinding over putts.
Yeah, I mean he's
right. I mean that's what I'm taking.
He's playing, and he's not like an amateur getting in the way. He's an amateur, like probably making side bets with these guys, saying, "Hey, I tell you what, I'll take the front, back, and overall for $100 each."
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
He's probably playing a little Nassau with Rory McIlroy.
Yeah,
during
it's a little
the Masters.
Little weekend match, and he goes, "Hey, while these guys are out there trying to grind out and trying to win the green jacket, he's out there just nudging them in the side. Hey, you little 5-5-5 or something."
Exactly. And what I love is even Kevin Kisner, who knows Knox pretty well because they both went to the University of Georgia, basically said, I would take him over anyone in the world on these greens. He does not miss inside 10 feet, which is so crucial at Augusta. I mean, you look at the pros and they're missing from 5 feet or in, and to have a guy that is that automatic from 10 feet and in. I mean, Dante, compare this. A guy, everybody knows a guy at their club that no matter how he plays, does not miss from 10 feet and in because of how good of a putter he is, A, or B, because he just plays the course 24/7 and he knows the course better than anyone else.
That is true. But I think the craziest fact is that he knows the greens better than anybody. And we're talking Augusta National.
That we are. Augusta
National on like Masters tournament greens. For him to just be like, oh, it's going to do this. And it's crazy too, because I saw, I read this, you sent me the article, I read the same thing is, you got all these pros reaching out to him for advice on how to tackle the greens, even Tiger Woods. So that
might have
a lot.
He might have the most pros in his Rolodex of any just member at Augusta, I would imagine.
I agree.
Crazy cool. I hope he gets to play this week. I hope I get to see a little bit of Jeff Knox walking through the fairways this week. That'd be pretty sweet.
But they're not going to showcase him, are they?
They won't, but you might get to see him here and there.
Yeah, just walking up, maybe on the streaming.
Take a peek and look for Jeff Knox this weekend. I hope it's not because Tiger's not playing, but again, because of everything we covered in this podcast, I'm telling you right now, pretty sure he's playing. But don't take it from me, because if he doesn't play, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news for everybody's bets this weekend.
Yeah, I know. It just the way it sounds like. I mean, they're even showing clips of him hitting, like actually on the course, taking I think either a 3-wood or a 5-wood.
Yeah,
swinging, and it looks like nothing's wrong. So I mean, for him to something like you said, knock on wood, nothing happens. But something really is going to have to twist his arm for him to come out and say, I'm going to pull out of the Masters.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. It's something where I just think fans were 10, 12, 15 deep all day today, Monday, watching Tiger Woods play at the Masters. It's just something wild to me that like something would have gotten out at this point by somebody if he didn't look good. You know what I'm saying? There's that many people there. We live in the 21st century. If he was limping and looked like shit, we'd know by now. Freddie Couples' story, if it was a story, of how good he looks would have been trumped by the 40 or 50 patrons saying, watch Tiger Woods today. He could barely walk. This was, trash. He's this, that, or the other. Something would have gotten out. The fact that nothing got out tells me he's playing and tells me the world better watch out because he's contending.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you on that. I wouldn't disagree. He's definitely, I definitely think he's going to play. And honestly, he's not playing if he doesn't think he can contend, like you've said multiple times. And he's been prepping for a while.
He has. I think there's something to the silence that's been Tiger Woods for the past couple months. I think low key, as soon as he got the nod to start chipping, he was chipping and putting in his backyard probably every day in his Tiger Woods fashion. I mean, let's talk about Tiger Woods' mentality for a minute, right? It's very Kobe Bryant-esque. It's, I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. and outwork you. I'm going to do the workouts. I'm going to do the preparation, and I'm going to outwork you. Right. So if all he was allowed to do was short game and putting, well, I'm going to guarantee you he probably outworked everybody in the world on short game and putting and the exercises he could do. He looks healthy inside the ropes too. He looks really kind of jacked. He doesn't look fat in any way, shape, or form. Like, he looks good. You can tell, even though he's been sidelined by an injury that would have kept most people in a wheelchair for months and months on end and gained 30 pounds. He looks good. He looks like he never missed a beat.
Yeah, I mean, after he's coming out of that surgery just saying, all right, when do you think's the closest time I can basically get up on my 2 feet and start rehabbing?
No, absolutely. I think, like, the second he was given a nod to say, hey, you can actually resume some little bit of production here, we're going to do it. So I'm excited to see what Tiger Woods gets into this week. I just hope he plays. It would be hilarious to me, and not hilarious in like a bad way, but just hilarious to me if he ends up playing the par 3 too, because Charlie Woods is tugging at his shoulder saying, Dad, I want to play the par 3. Come on, Dad. I want to hit lasers at the par 3 contest. Like, I think hear me out here too. We're recording this on Monday. I think if he does play, Tiger Woods is going to go all out because correct me if I'm wrong, he's never played in the par 3 contest. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. I don't know. But
I don't think so.
I think if he does, he plays with JT and JT's dad. And I think he plays with Charlie. And I think Charlie hits a couple shots along the way.
I can see that.
I think it's that time. I think we're in that realm of possibility.
What's crazy, it's again, we look at these. I mean, I know it's Augusta. It's very secluded in a way. It's very, what's the magical, I guess you can say, right?
It's like Disney.
It is like Disney, but it like, all right, what I'm trying to say is you look at some of these tournaments out there and it's almost, we're watching these events and they're becoming almost not just weekend tournaments, they're becoming almost week-long just vibes. It's a venue now. It's all these fans are getting in there and look at all the practice. I mean, you're getting tickets to the practice rounds, and you're almost going to start seeing shit. There might be even a concert down the street later tonight. Or
dude,
something
what I'm telling you is, man, you're spot on, and there are concerts at tournaments across the country every year. The Valero had a Wednesday concert. Freaking Waste Management had 2 concerts, 3 concerts, maybe even the whole week long. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And like, you're seeing tournaments like this really grow into, like you described, a vibe. It's not just the golf anymore. It's things like the par 3 contest. It's things like extracurriculars aside from the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday event that are making these events a ton more money. So I think it'd be cool to see. I'm excited for it. I mean, bottom line, it's Masters Week and it's here, and I'm like a kid in the candy store. I'm ready. I'm just at all hours of every day. I'm just ready to go in and dive in.
I'm gonna go get some cheese and make myself a pimento cheese sandwich. I'm gonna find the recipe. I'm making it this weekend.
I do
some
love
white
it.
bread.
I do love it. One thing we forgot to mention this whole podcast, and shout out to Michael De Palma Jr., Glen Riddle representative. So my home club representing out at the drive, chip, and putt in the 14 and 15-year-old boys East region, representing out there at Augusta. Shout out to him, man, out of Ocean City, Maryland. Just a really cool story. Freshman in high school, was like all state team for high school this past year. Just an absolute stud on the golf scene, and got to go play in the drive, chip, and putt this year. So shout out to you, Michael. Really cool to see you inside the ropes there on a Sunday at Augusta.
Yeah, you'll have to get in touch with them and ask him his experience.
Well, I mean, hey, his journey to Augusta alone was pretty cool. He local qualified out at Cape May course in New Jersey, sub-regional qualifier out at DuPont Country Club in Wilmington, Delaware, and then regional qualified at a Ryder Cup or a PGA championship venue out at Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York. So really cool journey for him just to get there alone. And then obviously get out there to Augusta to go play at the Masters. So something he mentioned, he said, I've never been there before. It's something I can't wait to go. But he said, asked of his favorite Masters memory, and how timely, right? He said, when Tiger Woods won the Masters in 2019, period, all of us, young son, all of us, that was our favorite Masters moment.
Yes.
I love it. So shout out to you, Michael. Excited to see your golf career kind of develop here in the next few years. Being a Glen Riddle member, I'm going to have to get out and probably get my butt whipped by this kid sometime soon.
Yeah, right.
Well, guys, as always, you can go to www.enjoythewalkpod.com to check out the latest drops from us, whether it's podcasts, YouTube videos, or merchandise drops. Head out to the website to check out more from us, and you can always subscribe at the bottom of the homepage. Sign up for our monthly newsletters as we send all of our latest drops to you guys straight to your email. And Masters merch is out from us guys now. So Masters merch will be dropping all week this week. We'll have new items in the website throughout the week. And then on the weekend, very, very special packages just exclusive to you guys that follow us and Enjoy the Walk. So go check that out, guys, again, at www.enjoythewalkpod.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Enjoy the Walk Pod. We're going to be chiming in all week this week on social media. So follow us along for some fun interactions and just some good talks as we see the week unfold. Hopefully with Tiger Woods involved. That's a personal preference, not having you guys involved, but Tiger Woods involved. That's what I want to see. I love it, guys. So as always, get out there, carry your clubs, enjoy Masters Week, have a pimento cheese sandwich, and enjoy the walk.
That's the stuff. One shot.